Hello and welcome to day 8 of the Halloween Craft Countdown, where I'm releasing a brand new Cricut tutorial every day for the whole of October. Today's tutorial is how to make this layered cardstock witch. So this witch is made up of 5 layers of card and they're all built up with 3D foam pads to create the finished design. To get the free cutting file, head on over to my blog. I'll put a link in the description of this video. All you need to do is download the file and then upload it into Cricut Design Space, cut it out from different sheets of card, and then I'll show you how to stick it all together. Here are all the pieces of the witch cut out from card and ready to stick together. I'm going to start with the bottom layer, which is the witch with the broomstick, which I cut in brown. And then on top of that, I'm going to stick this green layer. So it's the green one without any other pieces taken out. So I'm going to turn that green one upside down and get some foam pads. Now my foam pads are quite big, so I'm going to cut them in half with a pair of scissors just so that I won't use up so many. And then I can just put these foam pieces on the back to create the 3D effect between these two layers. So I've made sure I've added the foam into all of the thin parts of the design. So the feet, the hand, the hat, and then the back of the cloak. But I also want to make sure I've got a good amount in the middle of the design too, so that it's going to create stability for the other layers to sit on top. So that's a good amount. Now I can peel the top parts off of the foam pad to release all of the stickiness underneath. Turn it over and then stick it to this bottom piece. So I'm going to line it up with the matching part of the layer below. And then push down to stick when I'm happy. The next one to add is the yellow part of the broom. So I'll turn that upside down and add some foam pads here. I'll only need 2 because it's quite a small piece. So I can just stick this onto the brown part to create the 3D broom. Okay, next layer. The next one is this one. I've cut it out of silver, and that's going to form the base of the witch's clothes. So you can see how quickly the pattern comes together when you're adding these. So you can see the face and the hands and the feet all separate. So turn this upside down. And again, just like we did before, add some foam pads, making sure to get into all of those little areas, as well as in the middle of the bigger parts. Again, to create stability and to ensure a nice firm stick so that the card's not going to come apart. Can peel off all of the top bits to reveal the sticky underneath. That last one's being stubborn. And then I'm going to stick this one on top. So again, I'm just matching up the edges so it's right on top of the last piece. And then I can push down to stick it. The next piece is this green one. So it's the green one with some of the pieces taken out of the swirls. Before we stick this onto the witch we've got, we're going to add on these 2 little pieces. So you've got a small yellow bit and a green bit, which is a different colour green. So it's a different shade to this one. So this is going to create the gold band around the hat and the green in the hair. So turn your big green piece upside down and then get some glue. I like to use tacky glue because it has a really thin nozzle, which makes it easier to apply things in the correct space. Okay, so let's start with this hair piece, and we're going to stick this onto the back of the hair. I'm just trying to work out which way around it goes. There we are. So it will line up, and just add some glue around the edge of the hair, making sure you don't put glue over any of the holes in the hair. And then when you've got the glue on, just stick that piece over the gaps. It doesn't matter if you have a little bit of glue poking out the edges, you won't see it once we turn this over. And then we've got the same thing again for this part of the hat. So it's the last little rectangle on the top section of the hat. So a little bit of glue around the edge. And then this one's a little bit fiddly. I'm just going to drop that over. And it's a bit bigger than the holes, so you should be able to get it to stick. And then whilst that's sticking, I can add the foam pads. So now we're at one of the other kind of top layers. It's getting a little bit thinner in places, so you might find that you need to cut your foam pads even smaller to get them to fit. Make sure your foam doesn't cover any of the holes, because if it does go into the holes, it means that you'll be able to see the foam when you turn the card over. And we don't want to be able to see it because that'll look messy. So I've just cut some smaller bits here so that I can fill in some of these smaller bits of the witch. And I would like a piece just in the end there, so I think I'll have to go for a very narrow bit. There we are. Alright, so once again I can peel the tops off of all my foam pads and then turn it over and stick it on top of the silver piece, and you can see you've got your yellow and green poking through the holes where we glued that on. Okay, push that down. And then there's just one more piece left, which is the black part of the witch with all the decoration. So for this one, as it's even narrower, you can choose. So you can either glue it on top of the green, like this, or you can add foam pads to give it even more depth. I think I'm going to glue it. As it's already quite deep, I'm using quite thick foam pads, so I think glue will look better in my case, but it certainly is big enough that you could use foam pads again if you wanted to. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue around some of these edges. Apologies, you probably can't really see what I'm doing because it's black card on a black table. But hopefully it'll pick up the glue so you can see a little bit what I'm doing. So I'm not drowning it in glue because I don't want the glue to all push out of the edges when I stick this on, but just a tiny bit along the edges and in the middle to make sure this is going to stick well and it's not going to start coming apart. So I can turn this over, bring back my witch, and then stick this on. There we go. So I'm going to push this down quite gently because, like I said, I don't want the glue to start coming out, although it does dry clear, so if it does a little bit, that's okay. But there we go. That is my 3D layered witch all done. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel for loads more layered projects just like this, and a new Halloween project every day for the whole of October. To get the free SVG file for this witch, check out the link in the description of the video. Thank you for watching.